Hi, everybody. My name is Seth Traum, and I am the managing partner of Ipsos Strategy 3 in the US. And Ipsos Strategy 3 is our in-house marketing, brand strategy, and innovation consultancy. So we work with all of our research partners to help to bring some of the research results to life. I'm here today to talk to you about purpose. And I'm here to talk to you about two things: what our point of view is on purpose-driven brands, and also how we help brands to identify and develop their purpose, what it is to have a good purpose that's strong in your brand. So we'll start with our point of view. And we've published much content, but we really have a couple things that I wanted to point out here. The first is that when we talk about purpose, we talk about it from the perspective of consumers, employees, and investors. We don't have a purpose that consumers can see for your brand, but we also talk about it from the perspective of employees. What's going to get them excited to come to work every day for your brand? And for investors, what's going to make them believe in you and want to invest? And when we think about purpose, we say that it needs to be authentic and credible. And it really needs to show what the brand is all for, right? The purpose is essentially a brand's true north, and it's a reason that the brand exists. And so in order for you to have to live this purpose, it needs to be authentic and credible and believable for your brand. Because people have purpose fatigue. If you look at this cartoon, you see here that the clerk is saying, which flavor would you like? This one is saving the environment, that one is taking a stand on social justice, and that one is promoting togetherness. And the person just says, I want the spicy jalapeno. They don't buy it because these brands don't really stand for those purposes that are listed, right? And this is what brands are doing right now. They're trying really hard to define a purpose that they can pull into their brand. And a well-built purpose actually from starting with the brand and starting with the environment rather than just taking a purpose and saying that's what we're going to stand for and slapping it on the brand. Because brand purpose is not top down, it's not a tagline, and it's not a trendy topic. It's not just a trend that's here for a moment. It's also not superficial, it's not view or perspective. And I can tell you it's no longer nice to have, it's now a need to have. So what is brand purpose? As I said, it's the reason your brand exists, and it's also your contribution to the world. If your brand didn't exist, then this purpose would no longer be there for the world. The challenge here that brands face is creating authentic purpose with internal and external meaning, believability, and relevance for the brand. And internal and external goes back to what I said before, that we're focused on consumers, that's the external piece, and shareholders, also external, but also that internal side of how do we get employees to really be excited to come to work for the brand every day. What a purpose does is it gives people, these three groups, the only easy choice in the moment. There's so many choices to make right now on shelf or from your homes if you're ordering online, like many of us are now doing all the time. And it makes them feel good and empowered beyond the moment. Their affiliation with your brand gives them pleasure and satisfaction. And what it takes to build a purpose properly is techniques of what people care about. It's really understanding what's the brand context, what's the context of the moment that people are thinking about, what is their perspective as they're interacting with your brand, and then aligning what you say and what you do for your brand to show that you are about this brand purpose. So how do we help companies purpose it so that they're not just taking any purpose and applying it to their brand? Well, I mentioned before that we start with context. And so there's 5 different steps that we typically help brands take. And I won't walk through every one of those steps in detail in terms of what we do, but I'll show you some outcomes and some results. And because context is about understanding the societal category context, it's much bigger than it used to be. It's understanding how a brand fits into the world and what perspective people have. Right now, the lines in our world are being blurred. There's so much right now that people are demanding from brands, that people are demanding from companies, that people are demanding from their countries. And there's a consumer line that's being blurred that's quite different than it used to be. Because we think about things in terms of people are citizens and they're also consumers. And as consumers, you're looking to buy something, a product, a good, a service. But as a citizen, you're evaluating the values and the ethics of the that you're engaging with. And right now, that citizen side is becoming more powerful. So product and service measures and brand purpose are equally important in driving how the product evaluates brand. because the product service side is what consumers look for, but that brand purpose is the citizen side. Right now, we see that only 1 in 4 people globally think that most, and since we fielded this, it's probably gotten even worse now that people are really fearful in a COVID-19 environment. 3 in 4 people globally believe their country is divided. And this is global data. This is around the world that we're seeing these trends and patterns. We also asked people, do you agree or disagree with the following? And you can see that 63% of people said that they tend to buy brands that reflect their personal values. So people are looking at brands and they're not looking at them based on their pure functional attributes. How does it taste? How does it look? But they're looking at what does the brand bring to the world? How does the brand help the world? And that's really that brand purpose that they're evaluating. We also see at a societal level that corruption is quite a concern. It's really about brands being transparent. And you see here corruption, poverty and inequality, unemployment. So obviously brands can look at these as something that they might be able to help with. But as I will continue to show you, it's really important that if this is what you're going to stand for, it must be authentic to your brand and it must be believable based on what you've lived so far. So now we move into scanning, and scanning is about looking at your brand for what it is and understanding what role you play in people's lives. Most brands tend to fall short because they focus only on the moment of purchase. And so they're focusing on me, as we say, in the moment. A great product or a great service, but it's not really focused on anything beyond that. It's making shinier hair, it's faster delivery. But it's nothing beyond that that gets purposeful. As companies start to do better in terms of purpose, they start to think bigger. And they think in terms of focusing on not just me, but also my world. Beyond me, what's the world I interact with? And how does that help me in terms of consideration? So they're looking to create superior holistic experiences for their customers. These brands are not just looking at the moment of purchase, but they're looking beyond that and looking to see how their brand can fit into someone's life. Where brands are really thinking big enough and where brands are succeeding today and winning is they're solving real world problems. And so they're looking not just at me or my world, but they're actually looking at the world, the larger world, and understanding what role they contribute to society and how they can think beyond that obvious moment of purchase or of usage. And so if you think about the model as a whole, when you're focused on me, you're focusing on the point of purchase. If you focus on my world, you're focusing maybe on someone's family, their household, their community, their employer. But if you really focus well on delivering purpose as a brand, you're focused on the world, which is about society at large. And being impactful within your is what makes brands really powerful. An example from Starbucks that helps bring this to life a little bit is that me in the moment, it's getting a quality latte as soon as I walk into Starbucks, right? Because this is about I want a product and I want to get it quickly. And so one thing that's enabled what you see on the page here is the Starbucks app, where people can order before they go into a store, or now they can order before they stay out of the store and get their coffee delivered to them. It impacts people with their world because by having an app, it's faster. You can pre-order. And so now you can get to work in time for your meeting. You can live your life. You can get to the sports field to watch your children practice in time. But going beyond that, what Starbucks has done in the world, beyond making someone's life easier and faster, is that they're using less single-use plastics. They've moved to paper straws around the world. They're paying farmers well for organic beans, and so they're contributing back to farmers. And so if you think about that, Starbucks has gone way beyond just giving someone a coffee quickly when they need it to the world. Note that, and that's one of the many reasons why Starbucks is so powerful, because it lives its purpose. So now we're going to talk about creating a purpose. I said before that companies are really looking to see what purpose they can take and grab for their brand. So instead of talking you through the creation process, I wanted to give you examples of strong purpose and some not so strong purpose. And if we start with some brands doing it well, Airbnb is a great example. Airbnb's purpose is to create a world where anyone can belong anywhere. And so you see they get to belonging. They're not talking about we help you find a place to live for a week. They're talking about feeling like you belong, living like a local, which is really what a lot of people are looking for these days as they travel. Nike, uniting the world through sport to create a healthy planet, active communities, and an equal playing field for all. They talk about uniting. They talk about equality. These are really big, purposeful items that they're putting on their list, and they are living it. And you've seen it also recently in areas like not just COVID-19, but also in all the racial injustice challenges now, where Nike has gone out and put out some messaging that's really supportive of racial injustice and really supportive of, or rather racial justice, really supportive of Black lives. And they've been focused on that for quite a while, and so it's very believable for them as a brand. And finally, Lego. Inspire and develop children to think creatively, reason systematically, and release their potential to shape their own future, experiencing the endless human possibility. And I like this because some are short, some are long. There's no right answer to how long your purpose should be. It should just be something unique and believable for your brand, and something that you have the ability to claim. And so you can see here very different examples. Now, if you look on the other side of brand purpose that needs some work, we can start with Facebook as an example. And their purpose is to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. Which is really interesting, and certainly is what the brand stood for quite a while. But if you look now at some of the challenges that it's facing, Facebook has become quite divisive. And Facebook has become a platform where people are putting out messages that really divide the world, and people are fighting online. And so it's less about building community now than it was meant to be. And part of that is because of bad actors, as we call them, individuals who come in and spoil it for other people. But if these individuals are out there, and they are, then it makes it very challenging for Facebook to live their purpose. And that's something that they definitely need to address. And another has a stated purpose of human ability. They've basically taken two different words and they've pushed them together as one, which is interestingly the way the name Verizon was created. But human ability, I don't know what that means. And if you can look at a purpose and say, I don't understand it, then it's not a purpose well made. Be concise, they've failed. So when you think about purpose, and I'm showing the brand key here on the right that some companies use, others use a brand diamond, a pyramid, but basically their brand positioning, the different elements of a brand positioning, you see here that those all do come together. But what really makes them powerful is when you build that lock that the key fits into, which is all about environmental, political, and societal context. It's that contextual piece that I talked about first, because that needs to surround the positioning and the brand purpose. The last thing I'll talk about is what we call the do and the say, and that's what are brands doing and what are brands saying, because those need to really align well with the purpose to make it believable. So a great example of purpose well done is Barbie. For many years, Barbie was criticized because it reinforced gender stereotypes, and it had a negative impact on girls' perceptions of themselves. You had this Barbie that was an unattainable beauty for most. Most girls never will. And so Barbie was criticized for that. And they realized that that was a problem for them. They weren't connecting, because their purpose is to inspire the limitless potential in every girl. And how do you do that if a girl's holding a doll and not seeing herself in that doll? And so what Barbie, huge product refresh to create all different shapes and sizes and skin tones. And they really built out what Barbie could be. And you see here the Barbie Inspiring Women series, Katherine Johnson doll, very famous NASA mathematician who was the subject of the movie Hidden Figures. And you see here that Barbie's really trying to inspire and show little girls what they can become. And in addition to product offerings, what Barbie also did is they put their money where their mouth is, and they started the Dream Gap Project, which is an effort to give girls more confidence as early as age 5, which is when they see that girls can start to lose that confidence. And so Barbie's strategic transformation turned around many years of double-digit declines, and they've had consistent quarterly growth since the end of 2017 upon reintroducing this a little bit before that. If you think about what they did, they stopped communicating that Barbie's all about how she looks. They started to demonstrate how Barbie can fuel dreams for young kids, but they also continued selling dolls, just in some new forms. Consumers did as a result of all that, they thought, it's great to see Barbies evolving. And they felt, I can be proud to be providing my child with positive and attainable aspirations. And finally, what they did is they continued to buy Barbie, and also important, with their kids so they can reinforce Barbie's purpose. So when you think about a brand purpose and how it comes together and that 5-step process I talked about, what we're really doing is we're helping to pull in those context market factors. What's the world that people live within and how do they view the world? We're thinking in terms of what brands stand for already today and what they're capable of standing for, what people will believe that they are all about, and ultimately folding that into what people need. And if you can pull all 3 of those elements together, it's a really powerful way to build your brand purpose and to live it.